Hello everyone, BigDosses here and welcome to my Retribution guide for patch 9.2. In this guide we're going to talk about stats, talents, legendaries, covenants, rotation, and at the end of the video I will have a weak aura that I think that can help you out with your overall DPS. So if this is something that you like, then consider leaving a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have feedback for me, leave them in the comment section below, and without further ado, let's get started. For stats, you want to go for strength first. This means item level, on almost all your items except for your rings and your necklace. Those have no strength on them, so there you want to go with your best secondary stat. The second stat you want to aim for is haste, to smoothen out your rotation. Everything between, I think, 25 to 30% would be more than fine to have a very smooth rotation. So go for that amount of haste. After that, your mastery and versatility are very close to each other. And lastly, crit. And even that one is like very close. So I would highly suggest aiming for balancing those stats out. There is a thing called diminishing returns. If you have too many of one stat, then that stat, the more you get, the less valuable it gets. So to balance it all out is just overall better. And that's the luck with being a Retribution Paladin, because there you can use more or less all the stats and they're all evenly good. So try and do that. If you have difficulty on which stat to aim for, then I would suggest sim your character. Me personally, I'm still gearing this character up as well, I want to aim for a little less mastery, because I'm currently at 40% mastery, and I want to aim for a little bit more versatility. And why is that? Because versatility is a stat that also increases your damage, but it also decreases the damage that you take. And I think that is very important, because Red Paladins really do not have that much survivability, besides your immunity, of course, with Bubble. Besides that, you don't have that much survivability. So a little bit higher versatility is, I think, very important, especially when you climb the ladder and do higher and higher keys. But that's my take on the stat department. Before we talk about our talents, it's very important to know what our foreset does. Because in this video, I'm aiming, of course, for Mythic Plus. And besides Mythic Plus, I'm also thinking about that you are running with the foreset. Nowadays, it's fairly easy to get the foreset, so I'm just going to assume that you have that one. If you do not have that one, then our talents will differ a little bit, but I will talk about them when we get so far. But before that, let's talk about our foreset. Our foreset, if we have the 2 set, which you gain first, when you benefit from Art of War, you gain Seraphim for 4 seconds. So Art of War, and let's dig it up here real quick. Of course, we have to look there. Art of War. Your auto attacks have a 24% chance to reset the cooldown of Blade of Justice. So our auto attacks will give us a chance to reset our cooldown on our Blade of Justice, which is our holy power generator and gives us 2 holy power. So that is that. But we also, when we benefit from the Art of War, so when we do auto attack a lot, then we have a chance to gain Seraphim. And Seraphim is a amazing buff, which will increases our haste by 8%, critical strike, versatility, and mastery by 13%, which is amazing. So we need to do more auto attacks. This is very important and comes down into our talent section soon. Besides, that is our 2 set. Our 4 set, our Art of War, has a 50% chance to reset the cooldown of Wake of Ashes instead of Blade of Justice, which will give us, instead of this Blade of Justice, which is a single target ability for 2 holy power, it will give us this ability, the Wake of Ashes, which is an AoE ability with 3 holy power generation. So this is actually really, really good. And so we want to go, of course, we want to aim for the, we want to aim for our foreset, of course, but this affects our talents as well. Why is that? First off, Zeal. Judgment empowers you with the Holy Zeal, causing your next 3 auto attacks to occur 30% faster and deal an additional 210 holy damage. Even if we don't talk about the holy damage, we deal 3 auto attacks faster. And we just knew, or we just learned, probably you knew that already, but if you auto attack, then we get our Art of War procs. So you want Zeal in this first one, because we will auto attack faster, so we have a chance to get our procs on that one. Then the second one, Blade of Red. Art of War resets the cooldown of Blade of Justice 100% more often, increases its damage by 25%. Again, the damage is very nice, but we want those resets. We want those Art of War procs, because with our 4 set, we don't get our Blade of Justice, but we have a chance of Wake of Ashes, which deals a tremendous amount of increased damage in our, how do you say that? I don't know. It gives us more damage. Let's put it at that. If you do not have the 4 set, or 2 set, you want to go for Empyrean Power, that you have more defined storms. But mostly get used to this one, because that's the one that you're gonna roll when you have the 4 set. In the 30 row, this is all up to you, which you personally prefer. I prefer the Fist of Justice. Each holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown on Hammer of Justice by 2 seconds. And because we get a lot of procs by these 2 and our 4 set, which means that we generate more holy power, and the more holy power we regenerate, the more we spend. So the quicker our Hammer of Justice comes off cooldown. The quicker our Hammers of Justice or Fist of Justice comes off cooldown, the more we can stun mobs, the more we can reduce the overall damage that is dealt to the group. So this is the one I personally prefer. Blinding Light is good in the way that you can disorient mobs if they're all casting at the same time and you want to stagger that a little bit, then this is the way to go. But personally, go for Fist of Justice, or I do that. In the next row, this is also up to you. Eye for an Eye is not worth it. You are almost never taking physical damage because that is meant for the tank. So this one you don't use. It's between Cavalier and Unbreakable Spirit. Cavalier just gives you another horsey to use, which is actually quite useful. But depending on the tank that you have, if the tank is not even that quick, maybe a DK, then you can always stay into melee range. So you're not really needing the second horse charge. And Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Shield of Vengeance, and Lay of Hands by 30%. This one is an increase to your overall survivability, and so personally, I like this one. In the row 40, if you do not have the set, then you want to go for Seraphim. This one, you will get the procs with the set, and if you don't have the set, then you can manually use 3 holy power every 45 seconds to increase your haste, crit, enverse, and mastery, well, all your secondary stats. So this one you want to use then. When you do have the set, you want to go for Divine Purpose. Holy power abilities have a 50% chance to make your next holy power ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. We just learned that we gain more holy power, so we spend more, so our holy power abilities have a 50% chance, so we spend more. Because we spend more and we'll gain more because we have more procs, we have automatically a higher chance of proccing it again. So this is the way to go. On the row 45 talent, you can either go with Selfless Healer or Healing Hands. This is whichever you want to do. Healing Hands is actually really good because the lower you get, the more your Word of Glory heals. But if you use a Word of Glory, that means that you are not using it on a offensive ability. But it also reduces the cooldown of your Lay on Hands by 60% based on the target's missing health. So the more comfortable you get with playing Retribution Paladin and you can look at the health bars of your party members, then you can start using your Lay on Hands more, and this will help you out with that as well. Besides that, there are some abilities in Mythic Plus that really chunk you, that really reduces your health, and then you can quickly heal it up with a quick Word of Glory like this one, and it heals you up quite a bit. So yeah, you can go for that one, or you can go for Selfless Healer. Your Holy Power spending abilities reduces the cast time of your next Flash of Light by 25%, increases its healing done by 10%, stacks up to 4 times. We are spending a lot of Holy Power. With all the resets that we get and the procs from Divine Purses, we spam it a lot. So you stack this up really quickly. But then again, then you need to put into a Flash of Light into your rotation more or less. And I personally don't think it's worth it, but that's me personally. You can go for either of those. In the last row, it's simply Sanctified Wrath. There is no choice. You go for this one. Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer during Avenging Wrath. Each Holy Power spent causes you to explode with Holy Light for a lot of damage to nearby enemies. This one, because in our wings, we still get a lot of procs, and because we have a lot of procs, we spend a lot of Holy Power, and so we do sorry about that, we explode with a lot of damage, and that damage is unchecked AoE. Is it called unchecked? I don't know English, sorry guys. Uncapped, that's the word that was I was looking for. Jeez. So yeah, this one is really worth it. And yeah, that's the talents. So now let's talk about Covenants. Covenant for Retribution Paladin, there's only actually one that you can choose, and that is Kyrian. And if you have Kyrian, then the Soulbind that you want is Forge Light Prime Mechanicos. And this is how your setup will more or less look like, depending on if you are in Boss Week or in Mob Week during Mythic Plus. The talents that you want, let's start with the potency conduits. The most important one, the most important potency conduit that you want to have is Ringing Clarity. After that, you want Truth's Wake, which will put a burn on your Wake of Ashes, and because with the 4 set you will use a lot of Wake of Ashes, you will want this one. This one you want in Mob Week, so the longer that you are in AoE, the longer this is useful. And the other one that you want is Virtuous Command. Your judgment grants you Virtuous Command for 5 seconds, which causes your Templar's Verdict, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, and auto attacks to deal more holy damage. This judgment will come, of course, from your own judgment, but also the one that you gain from using Divine Toll. And besides Divine Toll, you will also have, of course, the Legendary. We put it here. After casting Divine Toll, you instantly cast Judgment every 5 seconds. This effect lasts for 15 seconds. So you will gain a lot of virtuous commands. So these are the ones that you want to go for. In single target, you will want to swap Truth's Wake with Templar's Vindication. Templar's Verdict has a 75% chance to strike again for 30% of its damage, and so this one is a single target focused ability. And in Boss Week you are longer in single target fights, and so you want this one. For Finesse Conduits, there's only really one that is important, and that is Light's Barding, which will Divine Steed's duration is increased by, for me it's 105%, so if I use this, then I will be on top of my steed for 6 seconds. So that is our Finesse Conduit. And for our Endurance Conduits, if you are using Healing Hands and you are using your Word of Glory often, then I would say go for Shielding Words. Casting Word of Glory grants you a shield that prevents damage equal to a certain amount of percentage of the healing done by Word of Glory. So this Shielding Words is very good with Healing Hands if you are also using Word of Glory. If you are not using Word of Glory because it's not baked into your rotation, or you don't feel comfortable with it, or whatever reason you have, you don't like healing yourself and others, I don't know, you do you, then I would suggest go for a Condensed Animasphere, which is just a passive heal. If you take damage, you slowly heal up. And go for Divine Call. Divine Shield's remaining cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds when you take damage. This effect can only occur once every so many seconds, depending on how high your conduit is. This one, I personally like. I don't think it's the best, because you should be using Shield and Words, I think. But I like this because Retribution Paladin has a real upfront damage, like we burst like crazy, and it tends to happen that when I start bursting, then I gain threat from the tank, because the tank either has not fully done his AoE rotation yet or whatever, and then I have threat, and I don't really want to die, so I want to use my Divine Shield more often. So for endurance conduits, I usually go for Divine Call and what's the other one? Condensed Animasphere. It's not baked in my rotation yet to use a lot of Word of Glories. So that's that. All right. If you are watching so far or still watching, then consider leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton. And if you have feedback for me, things that I can do differently, things that I explain maybe wrong, or things that you think I did right, then let me know in the comment sections. Now let's go to Legendaries. For Legendaries, there really is only one choice that I think is good for Mythic Plus, and that is going with Tempest of the Lightbringer. Tempest of the Lightbringer. Divine Storm projects an additional wave of light, striking all enemies up to 20 yards in front of you for 20% of the Divine Storm's damage. This is an amazing legendary which increases your overall AoE damage by a lot. Now, in Mythic Plus, of course, there is Mob Week, where you will go for this one 100% of the time. And there's Boss Week, where you will be fighting boss fights longer. If you want to focus your boss damage, maybe your party has great AoE and you want someone who does a little bit more single target damage, then you can go for Final Verdict. Final Verdict replaces Templar's Verdict, and with Final Verdict, a devastating strike that deals a certain amount of holy damage and has a 15% chance to activate Hammer of Rod and resets its cooldown. This is a pure single target legendary. So if you want to focus that boss down hard and you don't care about group AoE and you don't care about your overall damage at the end of the dungeon, then go for this one. But personally, I would say for Mythic Plus, just go for Tempest of the Lightbringer. Retribution Paladin is a builder-spender type damage dealer. So we generate holy power and then we spend it. So we generate holy power by using our Crusader Strike, Judgment, Blade of Justice, Wake of Ashes, and our Hammer of Wrath. And we spend our holy power for single target on Templar's Verdict and for AoE on Divine Storm. And that is how we build and spend our holy power. Now, for our rotation, it is important that you build up to 5 holy power and then spend it. But there are some niches, or not niches, there are some exceptions to that rule. Because if you have a, let's pull it up, a Seraphim proc from your Art of War, so you have an Art of War proc which gives you Seraphim. If you have that, then you will immediately want to spend your holy power. So let's look at the rotation and let's just see slowly how it goes. So I'm going to do it very slowly. And in the bottom right corner, you can actually also see how the rotation goes. So the tank is going in, I'm following him, and then I will use my Judgment into my Blade of Justice. And now I have this proc, so I should Divine Storm at this point. But if I had not done that, so I get Judgment, Blade of Justice, then I will use Wings, I will spend it, I will do Wake of Ashes, I will spend it, I will build, now I have another proc, so I will spend it, now I will use my Divine Toll, I will spend it again, and now I will use my Hammer of Wrath to build it up, and every time I gain, I will spend it. And if I have a Seraphim proc, you can see over here, I will spend everything I have right away. If I do not have a proc, then I will build up to 5. So now I have a Seraphim proc, I want to use it. I want to use it again because I had a Divine Purpose proc as well. So it's a bit hectic, I can understand that. And if you are new to it, it's going to be very hectic. But it isn't really not that bad. And it's actually fairly easy. You build up to 5 holy power and then you spend it. In single target, so purely one target, you will spend it on Templar's Verdict. On 2 or more targets, you will spend it on Divine Storm. So that's what you do. When you use your wings, you will want to use pots, trinkets, all that good stuff you want to use in that window. Let's see, what is there more to know? Let's look at our rotation really quickly if I have my Avenging Wrath back up. And then you guys will have a decent idea on how it works. Of course, your Divine Purpose procs, spend them when you have them, because you can't get another one right off the bat, because you will have to spend this one. It doesn't really stack up. So use your Divine Purpose procs when you get them. So I'm gonna soon walk in, but be mindful. We as Red Paladins, we burst like crazy, and usually we gain threat from our tanks, especially in opening pools where they do, like, for example, take Necrotic Wake. They pull a crazy amount of mobs at the start of the dungeon, but what they do is like they hit one target there, hit one target there to group them all up. And while all those mobs are walking in, the tank doesn't actually hit all of them most of the time at the start. And if you just start doing your rotation like a crazy person, then you will gain threat and you will probably die. So either use your Divine Shield then for a nice defensive, or wait 1 or 2 seconds until your tank has actually gotten threat. All right, so the mobs are coming, or the tank is running in. I see he has threat. I will use my Judgment. I will use my Blade of Justice. I will use my wings. Now I will spend. I will do my Wake of Ashes. I will spend Divine Toll. I will spend. I will use everything. And I had a Seraphim proc, so I will want to spend that one. I got a proc again, so I will immediately spend, because in that window I'm not gonna build up to. How do you say it? To 5 holy power. Now there's nothing, so I can build up to 5 holy power. I can spend. There's nothing. This is great. There's nothing on cooldown. I will use my consecration. It is not high on the priority list, but if I have nothing to press, then I want to use my consecration. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our rotation. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked this video. If it is something that you liked and you watched it all the way to the end, then leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton. If you have feedback for me, then please let me know. Put it in the comment section as well. Things that you think that I did right, things that you think I did wrong. Let me know, because I can only learn if you guys tell me to. Or not tell me to, tell me what I should do different so I can learn from that. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. And so lastly, as I promised at the start of the video, I would show you a weak aura that will, or what I think can help you with increasing your overall DPS. And that is the one for Hammer of Wrath. I find that sometimes I can actually use my Hammer of Wrath, but I don't really see which target I can hit, because there's a bunch of targets and I want to use my Hammer of Wrath more often. So someone else, not me, made a weak aura which can help you with that. If you go to wago.io and you will look for Execute Nameplate Group, there you can find this weak aura. What you can do, or what it does, is this target has 100% health. When he goes to 20% health, there will appear 2 big red X's on the side of the mob, and that way you can see which target you can hit with your Hammer of Wrath. So I walk in, I'll just damage this guy a little bit, and now we just slowly wait. I don't want to kill him. And there you have it. And now I can use my Hammer of Red on it. Boom, it's dead. It's a really useful weak aura because it shows you if there's like 10 mobs and there's one low enough, then you can see those big red X's and you can hit it. So I hope that helps you out. Goodbye.